The views, opinions, positions, or strategies expressed on WLAF TV 12 do not necessarily reflect those of the staff, management, ownership, or advertisers of WLAF TV 12, 1450 WLAF Radio, FM 100.9, or 1450WLAF.com.
When every second counts, count on Vital Care MedTrans. You do have a choice when it comes to ambulance service in this area. So when you call 911, ask for the best.
Wait a minute, are you Vital Care?
Yes, we are.
Good.
State-of-the-art equipment and a well-trained staff who stand ready to respond to your call. That's Vital Care MedTrans, when nothing but the best will do.
Okay, here we are again, folks. I'm Jerry Chadwell. This is Straight Talk Live. Probably just got a couple of issues to talk about tonight. I'm expecting a guest to show up any minute. We're going to talk about the Shriners dinner and auction Friday night. Vaughn Wilson, Digger Wilson from Wilson Gas, is going to come in. Hopefully, he told me he'd be here. Hopefully, he'll be here in a few minutes. And you know, the Shriners do a great job. And I talked to Vaughn and Digger and saw that they're having their event Friday evening. And I thought, well, you know, let's get him on here, let him talk about that, because you know, I know some of you know what the Shriners do and the effort that Mr. Wilson himself puts out. So I wanted, you know, I just want to give him a few minutes, and hopefully he'll be here in a few minutes. But you know, I know one thing I want to talk about for certain is last week I made a statement that the laws around here, I made it toward the end of the show, don't necessarily apply to everybody equally. You know, sometimes it depends on who you are as to how that law applies to you. Okay? And my point was proven over the weekend. And what I meant by that is I'm going to give you an alleged event that happened that's talked about throughout the community. Okay, and I'm going to say alleged because it's in everything I say to you tonight is my opinion. You take it for what you feel like it's worth. Okay, but this really bothers me, folks. That, you know, we've got allegedly several weeks ago at a restaurant in downtown city of La Follette, a person of influence was handling a gun during a crowded lunch hour. That gun went off, put a hole in the wall, went between two tables that, my understanding, fully loaded with people. Okay? For whatever reason, this event's not even been investigated to this point. This has been over a month, folks. This event's not even been investigated, okay? That bullet, if this actually happened, okay, that bullet could have hit somebody. Could have killed somebody, okay? Now, but it amazes me that the authorities, the police, have not even investigated this, and not at all. Okay, but then, okay, we got you're on the air.
Jerry, I think that gun going off was it happened in Cracker Barrel in Lake City.
No, that was a different incident.
Oh, was it?
That was a different. Yes, ma'am. That was a totally different incident from the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, the one I'm talking about happened in a restaurant down here in the city of La Follette.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, but I hit the wrong button. So, you know, again, okay, we're going to say this allegedly happened, even though my understanding is the person that allegedly fired this gun has been around town talking about it like it's no big deal, you know. And I guess if I fired a gun in a crowded room and walked away and nobody's interested in investigating, nobody's looking at it, you know, because this is a person of influence, okay, I guess I'd walk, you know, I'd be, you know, kind of laughing at people, laughing about it, you know. It looked like one of the lines was lighting up. I don't know what happened. One of the lines lit up. Sorry. So, but my point is, you know, we're treated differently, okay? This weekend, Andrew Hamlin, the rattlesnake preacher, you know, you can read the incidents on WLAF's website, 1450WLAF.com. You can read all the incidents. They have the whole story. On Facebook, you can go to Campbell County Arrest Facebook page, Campbell County Arrest. All of WLAF's stories have been copied on there, so you can read basically the synopsis of the story of what happened, okay? But they've got Andrew Hamlin sitting over in the jail, and not that he don't deserve it, okay? But they've got him sitting over on $200,000 bond. They ain't letting him out. And basically, there's no difference in the events. You're on the air.
Jerry, you are in the dark.
Hold on a minute. Now, is that better? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, I forgot to turn on one of my lights. So we got lights in here that like movie stars. So,
We see you.
well, hey, you there?
I am.
What do you think? You think the laws are applied equally around here?
No.
No, they're not. You know,
No.
and it just bothers me. You know,
Who you are.
huh?
It's who you are.
It's who you are. That's exactly right. So it bothers me. So I appreciate you calling.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that light was off, and I was hoping it was okay, but apparently it wasn't. But you know, this issue really, you know, I mentioned it just a little bit toward the end of the show last week. Of course, I had no idea that Andrew Hamlin was going to allegedly do what he did over the weekend and get arrested and be put in jail, you know. But, you know, tell me the difference, folks. If Andrew fired into that house and there were 3 or 4 or 5 people in that house, if he did it, okay, and, you know, recklessly endangered several people in that house, then, and he's being charged account, whatever the charge is, I'll see if I can find it, whatever the charge is, he's being charged one charge for every person that was supposed to be in that house, okay? So, to that same theory, if this other person fired a gun in a crowded restaurant, should they not receive one charge for every single person that was in that restaurant at that time that could have been hit by that bullet? Okay? Well, you know, this bothers me because there's not even been an investigation. They know it happened. If it had, you know, the talk is there's not even been an investigation. You're on the air.
Yeah, that guy should have been charged just like any other Joe somebody, any other person. And instead of going in front of Judge Sexton, send him out to the county. Don't let him go in front of Judge Sexton, or he'll be a free man for about $2,500.
Well, you know, Judge Sexton, you know, once convicted a murderer because it was a crime of passion to 100 days in jail, but he only had to serve 47 days. You know, so, but that person involved in that was a person that had been in the community, in the school system for 30 years, had been around a lot of kids doing, you know, but you know, I guess all that was taken into consideration when, you know, on that case. I don't know if you've watched the show before, but I was in the courtroom when that person explained how he shot the person he shot. Oh, sorry, I thought the person was still on the line. So, you know, but, you know, and I've got respect for Shane Sexton. I just disagree with him on a couple of the things he's done. That one case that I've mentioned over and over, Shane knows that I disagree with his sentence on that, but it's his sentence. He's the judge, not me. So, you know, so this person does have, you know, some concern about, but, you know, folks, it just bothers me that one person can fire a gun in a crowded restaurant. Again, if this happened, allegedly, if this happened, okay, and there's no investigation whatsoever, no investigation, okay, then you get Andrew Hamlin did what he did, and within just a few hours, he's in jail, and they ain't letting him out. You know, $200,000 bond. I don't know that he's got anybody that can come up with that, or that will come up with that kind of bond for him. He's probably going to be in there till this thing is gone through the court, and done and over with, and may serve some time. Okay, so but that's just my rant and rave on this. You know, I'll be straight with you. I have talked to the district attorney about this. There's other people who's talked to the district attorney about this. The district attorney called me and asked me about it. Of course, I wasn't there. But I asked the district attorney why there has not been an investigation. So, you know, and like I say, Jarrett called me and asked me about it. You know, so anyway, let's leave that alone. If y'all want to talk about that some more, sometimes the law in some cases appears to be handled against some people differently than it does other people. You know, that is my opinion, and you know, I'll tell you where that doesn't happen, and this is my opinion. I'll tell you where that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with the sheriff's department. That doesn't happen with the sheriff's department because sheriff's had to let some of his own folks go when they've made a mistake, and he did it very quickly. Okay, very quickly. This case that I'm talking about, where this possibility of this gun going off happened in the city of La Follette. Okay, that is out of the sheriff's department's jurisdiction unless they are asked. The only way the sheriff's department can get involved in that is they have to be asked to get involved, and that's just the way the law works. Okay, so the sheriff's department had nothing to do with that. But I mean, I've seen the sheriff's department. I've seen Robbie in his department. If they have issues within their own department, they clean it up pretty quick. You know. I haven't seen any favoritism there, okay? But in the past, there's been issues, and you all know it as well as I do. So we're going to leave that alone. Hopefully, I don't know where Digger's at, but let me tell you about my sponsors real quick. Vital Care. If you call 911, ask for Vital Care. They'll get out to you. They'll take care of you. And then, if they have to take you to the hospital or whatever, anytime I've ever seen anybody go to the hospital, they always leave there with a prescription, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So when you get that, head on down to Riggs Drug Store. The folks down there will take care of that. And your transaction, it'll be an unfortunate transaction, but it'll go smoothly. Because you've got Vital Care and Riggs Drugs involved, it'll go smoothly for you. We've got the director of school search. I'll be honest with you, I've been kind of amazed over the last couple of weeks that nobody really wants to talk about that. We've got that going on. And that's getting to today was the first day of the 30-day period that they have to advertise. That advertisement went out today. They have to. I'm on the committee, on the search committee. I don't have a vote. Okay, I do not have a vote whatsoever. as far as the director of schools or anything. I'm just on the citizens committee that got to sit in the meetings and discuss the qualifications and the application process. And we'll be on the committee to help set the contract for the next director of schools. That committee's not met yet. We'll meet and we'll discuss those issues. So that's going along. And they're hoping to have the new director of schools appointed at a special called meeting on May the 4th. And that person take over on May the 5th. And then hopefully on May the 6th, that person will be right here, because I know Mr. Poston's going to be here, so hopefully that person will be here. You're on the air.
Jerry,
Yes, ma'am.
would you call me when you get up through your program? I need to talk to you, please.
Okay. Do I know how to? Let me give you my cell phone number,
Yeah,
and you call me, because I don't want you giving your number out on the air unless you don't care to.
okay, brother, okay, all right. Listen, Jerry,
Yeah.
while I'm talking to you, I appreciate your program. I watch it every Wednesday night.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
And my nephew belongs to the Masonic Lodge.
Okay.
Ernie Cornett. He's with the jail. He's a jailer.
Okay.
Ernie Cornett.
Okay. Well, can you write my number down?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. It's 865.
Hold it just a minute. I get a pen.
Okay.
865.
207.
Hold on. 865-2207. Okay.
Now, only 2, okay? 207. Because I heard you say 2 twice. There's only 2.
No, 865-207.
Yes.
Okay.
0229.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I missed a call there. Call back, caller. We'll discuss whatever you got going on. Where's that picture? If Mr. Higginbotham, County Commissioner Higginbotham's out there, I'd like for you to call the show. Let's talk about your trip to Nashville. You're on the air.
Hey, Jerry, Jim Slusher.
Hey, buddy.
For those that missed the last county commission meeting, they missed a piece of history being made in this county. The county commission, through mainly the charge of the former mayor of La Follette, took on the director of finance.
Okay.
And for the first time, I saw the commission walk out victoriously. Things have changed, and I hope they've changed permanently. We've got some good people on there. We've got Scott Stanville, Sue Nance, Mr. Davis, Lonnie Weldon. He appears to be trying to do well, and some others.
Okay.
But it all arose out of Mr. Oryx, Campbell County Justice Center, Jail, State Prison, Hilton. Because it went several $100,000 in the hole. Don't really know how much. I think the former mayor, Baird, said $1 million. Am I correct in that?
Back there in the campaign, he said $1 million several times on
Don't
that
really know how much it is.
TV show he did.
From now on, all change orders on projects that are owned by the county,
Right.
they will be coming before the county commission before work is started or any commitments have been made.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the cause of it is, it's got to come before the commission. If we had had that kind of, if Mr. Jennings is the one that led the charge on that.
Right.
He had help from his fellow commissioners, but if we'd had that kind of leadership on our board of commissioners, that Sun God project that we spent and wasted over $2 million of the county's money that could have gone to our children in our schools, and Lord knows they need help.
Right.
We're not at the top on funding when it comes to helping our kids, but we had a commission and a school board
Right.
that thought putting sun gods were more important than putting it into actual education of kids. And today, when you read the revenue reports, you can see nothing but droplets of red all over the reports, and I've reviewed those before you, but I do want to report very happily, and Mr. Jennings handled himself very professionally.
Yeah.
And of course, Mr. Orrick tried to get him off track, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
And today, through his efforts and others, such as Mr. Stanfield and those that I mentioned, we now have a commission that's in charge of construction, which they should have been all along.
Yeah, because they're in charge of spending the money, so they ought to have some say-so, shouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's too bad we can't go back and rescind that Sun God project on our buildings. I would call it a solar panel project, but when you have solar panels, they supposedly pay for themselves. So I'm not going to give it that kind of honor. I'll either call it a solar project or a Sun God project.
Right.
But you know what happens when you go to worshiping strange gods, you lose money.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned something there that I want to bring up a point. Me and you and I have talked about this before. You mentioned that our funding has never been up to par, or I've said it several times. 11 out of the last 12 years, our county commission has funded the very minimum they had to for our school system. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
11 out of the last 12 years, the very minimum they absolutely had to fund to the school system.
Yeah.
So no big investment in the school system. And you mentioned, if you look at the numbers, not trying to throw off on anybody, but if you look at the numbers, our school system is in the lower quadrant of the state, right?
Right.
Okay. And I know, we watched this, 2 weeks ago, in Oak Ridge. There's a company coming in and going to bring in 650, 700 jobs. And one of the main things that they mentioned, the reason they're coming there is because of the quality of education they're getting and that they know they're going to get, their kids are going to get in that school system. Is that correct?
The person that I heard, and they had a large group there, and of course they were going through a ceremony of recognizing this company coming in, and one of the people there made the announcement that the reason why that they're getting this project is because that city has the skilled talent and the education system that will draw those types of industry to it.
Right.
I think the project initially is going to be something over $300 million. It's a 3D imaging company, and the first phase, I think, is going to employ better than 600 people, and who knows what the third phase is going to do. And almost with the same breath, the announcement was going on that Oak Ridge is getting $6.5 billion to completely rebuild Y-12.
That's quite an investment in the county.
The booms of success are going on all around us, and we lose A&S Steel.
Well, and my point is, it starts with a quality education system, and my point is, despite how good your teachers are, despite how good your administrators are, despite how good they try to make the system, and the folks working there do their very best to make a system, if you don't fund that system properly, funding it 12 years, 11 out of 12 years in a row, at the very minimum you have to, is not going to bring you a successful school system. Those teachers need better resources to do, to do a better job. They do the best they can with what they got, but, they need better resources.
No, but we've got plenty of $2 million sun gods on top of our school buildings, and the figures speak for themselves.
Well, and I haven't seen that report.
I know the report's correct.
Yeah.
To the point that Mr. Marlowe did it, and I doubt that if he didn't have to, and I think Jeff's honest. I don't question that.
No, I don't question that at all.
And he put in an honest report.
Right.
Thing is a bust.
It's just a lot of red on that report.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it returned 1.8% last year. And this year it has returned 1.2%. And that's because the efficiency of those systems go down. In 2 or 3 years, it will be purely red ink.
Well, and last year we were kind of speculating it would take 8 years for that to happen, but it seems like it may be happening a little sooner.
Now, let me tell you, Jerry, that's the same school board. It's got some different members on it, but it's the same Campbell County School Board that decided we don't want no outsiders in our school system. So if you don't live here, you can't apply for the job.
Yeah.
Real winners.
So, well.
We don't want no people outside our school system teaching our kids. Now, what if Oak Ridge had had that kind of attitude?
Well, and I don't know where their director comes from, but and I've made a call to try to get their funding mechanism. It's quite a large project, of my understanding, because their school system is funded very well.
But I don't want to hold us up as being like Oak Ridge. We're not like Oak Ridge.
Right.
Our children have every bit of an entitlement to have a good education as the children in Oak Ridge.
That's my point exactly.
But we go out and spend $2 million on a sun god project.
For absolutely no reason. I'm with you on that.
Yep.
There was no reason for that project. Absolutely none, other than to fatten the pockets of the people that that sold the system to the schools. I've been with you on that one all along.
Well, hang in there.
Okay, thank you, buddy.
Bye.
So, the point that Mr. Slusher made, and I tried to make with him, folks, is when those folks who are bringing that company to Oak Ridge, one of the things they announced was that the reason they were coming there was because of the quality of education they felt like their children would get coming into the community. And, I've harped on it and harped on it and harped on it, that funding our schools at the maintenance of effort doesn't do anybody any good. You're on the air.
Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Doing good, buddy.
Hey, I want to get into this correlation between educational product and the amount of money spent. But first, did you know Oak Ridge is a private school?
Oak Ridge, what is a private school?
It is a private school. Now,
what is a private school?
Now, it is a public school.
When you're saying it, what is it?
School, Oak Ridge High School.
Oak Ridge High School, okay.
The whole educational system in Oak Ridge.
Okay.
The city of Oak Ridge owns and controls that educational system in its entirety.
Okay, so it's a public school system.
Now, it comes under the state.
Yeah, it's a public school system. It's not a private.
Well, it is run as a private school.
It's a taxpayer-funded school system.
But it's still run as a private school. There's only 2 schools in the state of Tennessee that fall under this.
Is the other one Oneida?
It's special exception. The other one is Oneida.
Okay.
And they run it with, now Oneida, my understanding is they've fallen pretty much into the politically correct domain, and they've lost a lot of their quality.
Okay.
Oak Ridge has not. Oak Ridge is still I know teachers that have taught there. These are the top teachers in the state of Tennessee. They pay more, yes,
They get paid top pay too.
but these are really good teachers, and they recruit them. And buddy, if you don't come up under to par when you're hired by them, they'll let you go real quick.
Right.
Oneida used to be the same way. Now, I've heard that their quality's dropped, but Oak Ridge is not. They have probably the best educational system in the state of Tennessee. Now they have a lot of money simply because there's a lot of federal money pumped into Oak Ridge.
There's a lot. There is. Yeah.
And through the trickle down,
Trickle down economics. It works.
a lot of it gets to the school system.
Right.
And they are well funded. But money alone is not the key to good education.
No, there's a lot of keys to good education, but you've got to have the money to start.
You take Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
City of New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, Los Angeles. There's more money spent per student in these cities than anywhere else in America, and they're producing nothing. Nothing is coming out of their schools.
Yeah.
But you take North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana, they pay the least per student in the country and get the highest results. It's more about culture. You know, like you could send an Asian child from an Asian family to any school in America, and they're going to come out top notch. I don't care where they go. You take our people. If we had a better, more disciplined school system, our kids here could respond as well as those in Oak Ridge.
Okay.
But when you do not have discipline in your schools, when the attorneys and the politicos and the parents don't stand behind the teachers and having nothing but top-notch discipline, I'm for separating our kids, you know, boys and girls, into separate schools. I'm for them wearing uniforms. The boys should wear a white shirt and a tie and a jacket every day. And
You know, I'm with you on that uniform wearing thing. I'm 100% with you on
girls
that.
should be required to wear a dress and dress shoes, and not these mini skirts either. I'm talking about a dress below the knees. You know, if we don't get a grip on the loss of our culture, you know, all the money in the world ain't gonna save it.
Right.
But anyway, I really, really do appreciate.
Well, now you all the money in the world's not going to save it.
Yeah,
But would you agree with me? When you throw the very least money that you possibly can at your school system for 12 years in a row, or 11 out of 12 years, 11 out of 12 years, that just can't be a good thing.
I'm just surprised we missed a year there.
I think that 1 year, I think, came in because there was a mandatory. It was the year that they raised it was a few years ago when they raised the wheel tax up $10 and put a 5-cent tax on. There was a mandatory something, I forget how it was, but it was mandatory that they do it, or they wouldn't have done it then. They had to do it, didn't have any choice.
Well, our teachers have to rebuild respect for their school system.
Right.
Can't have people committing crimes in our school system. And that one case you mentioned earlier about the 100 days or 47 days, that was one of our teachers.
It was one of our teachers.
The Lonnie Van case, that's one of our teachers. You know, we've really got a serious situation in this county, and we need for them to re-earn their respect, get discipline back in that school, tell the parents to buckle down on these kids and quit picking on the teachers and get some discipline back to school. But anyway,
Right.
I want to commend you for your opening story about the inequality of the application of our justice in our county. That was a very powerful story you started with. You keep up the good work, my man.
Okay. Hey, call your buddy Digger and tell him to get down here. I want to give him some time on that Shriners thing.
Hey, call 562-5444.
He wouldn't still be there, would he?
I don't know. That's his business.
Well, I know. I called him earlier and told him to come down here, and then said, that dinner's Friday night. I was going to let him talk about the Shriners and the dinner for a few minutes.
He might make it in there.
So if he can get on in here, we can do this. So
hey, he needs to get there as quick as he can, though.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate your time taking my call.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Okay. I found this on the internet, in my email actually, about the director of schools qualifications and all that. I'm gonna read this, and this is the way it's posted. I just couldn't. It's posted on WLF's website, but the way it's posted, it won't work on my iPad. So, I remembered I've got an email because I'm on that committee. I've got an email. It talks about the director of schools and what they're looking for, and it talks about the salary will be negotiated after consideration of professional background experience. The person chosen by the board will assume the position on May 5th, 2015. Applicant for director of schools must be a Campbell County resident and or property owner and have the following. Now, that resident or property owner, that's the problem Mr. Slusher was talking about earlier. He disagreed with that. We've talked about it several times. He disagreed with that. That criteria was set by the school board in a meeting a month or two ago before the committee that I'm on ever met. It's not anything we've ever discussed. It's not anything we've asked our opinion on. I'm not going to give my opinion on it one way or another because I'm on this committee, and we're going to do this within the, I've said it before, within the rules that we have. So the next month and a half is going to be real important to who's going to be leading our children for probably the next 3 or 4 years. Okay, so there's basically only 4 requirements besides the residency thing or the property ownership thing. There's basically 4 requirements you have to have. Number 1 is a professional educator's license with preference for a professional administrative license. Okay, so you've got to be a teacher, but they would prefer that you also have an administrator license. But if you don't have that, you can still be considered. A master's degree in education required with the preference for an EDS or a doctorate. Okay, again, you have to have a master's degree to apply for this position. If you've got an EDS or a doctorate, that's probably there's a point system, okay, that is going to be looked at, and that's probably going to get you some extra points. Certified in administration and supervision. Okay, when we were first discussing this certified thing, there's a difference between having an administrative license and being certified in administration and supervision. There's a different level of where you're at on the certification and license. It's the same in my business. In the business I'm in, you have to be licensed and or certified through the state. I am both. I'm licensed and certified through the state of Tennessee in my business. Most of the employees in my business are not licensed. They're certified. So there's a difference on the levels that you have there. And then this one, the last one, a minimum of 10 years in K-12 education with at least 5 of those years in administration. Okay. Last night at the meeting, we had one person bring it up, said, that hadn't been to the last couple of meetings, brought it up and said, I don't like that business about, you have to be in administration for 5 years. And we had discussed that, and the reason that is, the director of schools is the top administrative position in the school system. we felt like as a committee that we wanted somebody that knows about being in administration to take that position, because I mean it's strictly an administrative position. The director of schools is. So we felt like we didn't really want anybody doing the director of schools. If you've never been director of schools, obviously there's going to be a learning curve there to learn to be director of schools. Well, we felt like you don't also need to learn how to be an administrator at the same time. You needed some experience for that. So now the application process, which started today, the applications have to be in the office by April 17th, 2015 at 4 p.m. Okay, lot of standard things in there, but one of the things that I brought up, and they all agreed with me, was that I felt like this was important because we needed to, I brought it up and I said, look, we know we're getting a lot of information about their professional aspect. I felt like we needed to know some things about their personal aspect. So the last thing that's brought up as far as the application process, something they have to provide as part of their application, is provide a list of any bankruptcies / foreclosures and or open/closed litigation that you are / were party to that has occurred in the last 10 years. Okay, I felt like it was important that we know, have they filed bankruptcy? Have they had any foreclosures? Have they had a car repossessed or something? Something like that. If the person applying for this job can't handle their personal finances, why do we want to put them in charge of a $50-some million budget for our school system? And if they are a person that stays tied up in litigation, if they're suing somebody all the time or somebody's suing them all the time, why do we want that kind of baggage in our director of schools? So fortunate enough, the board agreed with me, and they put that in there, and hopefully. And there's some kind of one of the members brought up and said, well, what if somebody's been sued and they won the case? Okay, well, I mean, obviously, if you looked at that and you saw that they won the case, you wouldn't hold that against them because anybody can sue anybody at any point in time. Okay, but if you were sued and you lost the case, then that's a different thing. But if you won the case, yeah, I mean, you can, because in our that gets back to tort reform in the state of Tennessee, and that's a whole nother subject. People feel like we need tort reform. I can't say I disagree with that. That would take away this business about anybody can sue anybody at any time, basically, and have no repercussions to that. So in a lot of cases that happens. But we need to know. I mean, this director of schools things, folks. We've got over, I think, somewhere around 5,000 children in schools in Campbell County. To me, this is an important issue. It's just an important issue. Is who's going to lead our children? Like I said, I was honored. Still feel very honored that they chose me to be on this committee, and hopefully I've represented well and tried to be very professional. And hopefully this process has gone pretty well so far. So, but I wanted you all to know, because I feel like that, I mean, this is a huge issue. This issue probably is as important to the county as the last election when we elected the leaders of the county on the commission and the mayor. This person, the person that is chosen, again, I don't have a vote. The 10 school board members are the one that has a vote on this. The person that gets chosen probably for at least the next 3 years, possibly the next 4, and that brings up another issue I'll get to in a second. It's that person's going to be the one leading your children down the road, and we've got to have the right person. And hopefully our process, the way we're doing this thing, will work out and we'll get the right person. You know, now Mr. Slusher disagrees, and I know one school board member last night voiced his opinion that, you know, you cut off a lot of folks when you said only Campbell County citizens or people that own property here. You possibly cut off a lot of good folks out there that might have wanted to apply for this position, you know, but the school board chose to do that, and that's what we're going to abide by. That's the rules we're going to go by. So, but I mentioned that you know, the 3 or 4 year contract and I think by law all you can give is a 4-year contract. That's the most. I got a call from someone today that told me, and I have not checked on this, maybe somebody out there knows, that the state legislature is bringing up the possibility of reinstating elected superintendents of schools. Again, I haven't checked on it. I don't know anything about it. I got a call probably an hour before I came to the show, and this is a person in our county government that I was talking to, that told me that his understanding is the legislature is considering that, and if you know, if they were to pass that, it's probably about a 3-4 year process before that would take effect. There's all kinds of steps that even if they voted on it today, there's still steps it has to go through before it's fully approved. So you know, if that were to be approved, and all the steps go down the line that have to be taken to institute that or reinstitute that, to where we vote and we elect our superintendent of schools, the first time that might happen would be 2018. So it very well could be that this director of schools that we're on the search for now could be the last chosen director of schools. It's a possibility that we may go back to elected superintendents. Okay. Like I said, I got a call from somebody in our an elected official in our government, you know, before I came to the show, and that's one of the things we were discussing, and I hadn't heard about it until this person told me about it. So, you know, you know, we'll see how that goes. I don't know how you all feel about it. You know, there's good and bad, you know, because I mean, with your director of schools or with the superintendent, there would certainly have to be qualifications, just like, you know, we've got 2 positions right now that there are certain that have higher standards of qualifications to be elected to. You have to qualify to run for sheriff, and you also have to qualify to run for road superintendent. Okay. The others, pretty much all you have to have is, well, some of them you don't even have to have a high school education, you know, but you know, you pretty much need to be a registered voter, and that's it, you know, some of the positions. So, but the road superintendent, director, or excuse me, the sheriff, there's certain qualifications you have to meet before you can be approved to run for those positions. Well, I'm certain if the superintendent were to be put back in as an elected position, there are probably some pretty high standards that you would have to meet before you're allowed to run for superintendent if that goes back in. So our process that we've went through on this director of schools, we've tried to hold that to a pretty high standard to hopefully get the best person we can possibly get for this position for the next 3 or 4 years. Again, you know, the contract probably is going to be a minimum of 3 years. And I think I read of a state law, it can't be more than 4. So, we've done our best to try to put in the qualifications to have just, you know, the absolute best. So, got about 10 more minutes. I've pretty much run out of things that I was going to talk about. You know, give me a call. Let's see what you want to talk about. Let me go back to, I'm going to go back to WLAF's website. Okay. You know, the one caller called in and said something about, we'll see what we got. Okay, line 1. You're on the air.
Jerry, I think that they need to drug test teachers and school bus drivers.
Well, you know, I asked that question last night. I'm glad you brought that up. I asked that very question last night, and I was told, and this doesn't make sense to me at all, I was told it's against the law to drug test teachers. The only time they can test them is as they're coming in for employment. If you went down there to apply for a job, they can drug test you then. But after you become employed, I was told last night at the school board meeting that you cannot, it's against the law. Now, that doesn't make sense to me at all, because I can tell you this. I work for a company that we probably have over 150, 200,000 employees. I work for a pretty large, a worldwide company, okay? Tuesday morning, they drug tested the whole company. Everybody in the company, as far as I know, was drug tested Tuesday morning. We didn't have a choice, okay? And I don't mind that. I've passed every one of them. It's not an issue, okay? But we didn't have a choice. And I feel like, anybody, not just teachers, anybody working in our county government should be subject to drug testing. And that's just me. I feel like they should, I'm with you on that, ma'am. I'm certainly with you on that. Now, they did say that you said bus drivers?
Yes.
They can pull the bus drivers at any point in time and drug test the bus drivers. And I think I was told they actually do that twice a year. Okay, I haven't seen that for a fact, but at the meeting, somebody told me they actually do that twice a year. They do it at the first of the year when they start. And in my understanding, randomly throughout the course of the year, at some point in time, they'll do it then. That's what I was told. So, but I'm with you. I'm for mandatory drug testing for every county employee. I don't care if you're the director of schools, if you're the sheriff, if you're the county mayor, if you're the maintenance person down there at the courthouse. I don't care who you are. If you're a county employee, I'm for drug testing. So, anything else?
Wasn't it last year that they got that woman in the classroom? She was a teacher, and they got her in the classroom for drinking or on pills or something.
I don't know that I remember that. I'll ask. I'll try to find out. I'll ask.
It was last year or year before last.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't remember it.
And then they had another school teacher down there. He used to be a ball coach, and he was making meth.
Not at the schools, though. I know what you're talking about there.
School, but still yet, he was involved in that.
And as soon as he got caught, he was out.
Right.
Yeah, as soon as he got caught, he was done. But with drug testing, if caught that up front, it might have. You got a good point there.
Right.
So
how do they expect their kids to go to school, stay off of this stuff, when the teachers are practically bringing this into the school?
yeah, well, I mean, there's a possibility of a point there. So I don't know, what all the details. I know who you're talking about. I know the incident. I know he was caught a second time. Later on, he was caught a second time. So he didn't do any jail time.
No, he didn't do any jail time.
He didn't do any jail time. He was his probation. Even after the second time, I think there was probation. And the second time he was caught on school grounds.
Right.
I remember that. He was caught on school grounds. So
And that goes right back to what you said earlier. It's who you know.
there you go. That's what I was getting at. You're absolutely right. So you're absolutely right. So I got another call.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I missed a call there a second ago. Call me back and I'll get you in here. I'm sorry about that. You're on the air?
Jerry, back in February 2011,
Yeah.
a federal district court in Tennessee ruled that a school board's policy subjecting teachers to random drug testing violates teachers' Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches because it lacks proper notice and is unreasonably implemented. The court declined to rule that drug testing of teachers is unconstitutional per se.
Yeah.
It appears, not being an attorney, I'm not real sure of this, but it kind of appears that the constitutionality wasn't in question. It was the way it was being done.
the way they were trying to do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe they can look at that
You're
again.
right. It's kind of hard to believe that they're not subject to it, but according to this ruling, it has been held illegal. So,
Yeah, and I was told that at last night's meeting, but again, my issue is not just with school teachers. I think all county employees, all of them, should,
they declined to rule whether it was constitutional or not.
yeah.
So,
Well, maybe they can go back and try to set it up a different way and you know, and do it,
well, yeah.
you know, so there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. So, but but anyway, I missed a call in there, ma'am. I saw your name. If you'll call back, I'll get you on as quick as I can. So, we got about 2 or 3 more minutes. You know, it's been pretty good. Hopefully we've got you a lot of information out. I'm wanting to talk about the director of schools thing. Again, it amazes me that the citizens out there, that, you know, you're not want to talk about that. I want to talk about it simply because I'm on this committee and I know how important this position is. Hopefully this is the one I missed a minute ago. There you go. Appreciate you calling back. You're on the air.
Hey, they do drug tests. They do drug test bus drivers random.
They do?
They do, and they will. Yes.
Well, you quit listening to your TV. Turn your TV down.
Okay.
You're trying to listen to both of us at the same time and it don't work.
They do drug test your bus drivers random.
Okay, yeah, they told me at the meeting last night that does happen. And, you know, as a contract employee, you know, that you know, and see, I mean, you're a human being just like a teacher is a human being. To me, where is the difference? You know, and the county mayor is an employee. Where is the difference? And now the county mayor, I think he has made a statement. He's going to implement drug testing in his office. It's going to happen in his office. So I applaud the mayor for that. But I think all county employees should be, don't you?
I do too.
I don't think that anybody on the drug testing issue, I don't think anybody should be treated different. They should all have to do it.
They call those bus drivers the night before and tell them to come in that morning.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
You know, well, now my company, they didn't, they told us, they don't tell us ahead of time. You know, they don't tell us ahead of time. So,
They don't have time to do anything because they get that call that night and they have to be there at 8 o'clock the next morning.
yeah, and if you don't show up, what happens?
So they'll go get you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Let me try to get one more call in. We probably got about a minute.
Hey, Jerry,
Yes.
when you drug test an employee and they turn up positive,
Yeah.
the procedure, how do they handle that?
I know at my office, it's immediate termination.
I don't, from what I can find out, you can't terminate a person for being addicted to drugs because it's considered as a medical situation now. Years ago it was. I believe now.
How much time we got, honeybee?
About 30
We
seconds.
got about 30 seconds.
Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you have an employee who is addicted,
Yeah.
you must take care of them through a drug program.
When I work for a private company, on a state or taxpayer job, you're probably right. I work for a private company, and I know it's immediate termination. So,
Thank you for your time.
thank you, buddy. So, hey, give Vital Care a call. If you call 911, ask for Vital Care. Go see the folks at Riggs Drugs. I'll see you next week.